You know what? I did quite well to avoid bad games this year. I didn't play Resident Evil 3. That's a good point. There were a few disappointments in there, but the absolute worst moment that I've had came playing Aliens Fireteam Elite, which actually isn't necessarily a bad game if you're playing it with other people. If you're playing it solo, that thing absolutely sucks because your AI is just terrible, and if you die, you have to restart the whole mission again. So, as you know, Scott, I played a nice little session with you and Benroy one night, had a good time until you went MIA and left me and Benroy to defend your lifeless body.
You also skedaddled. I don't think it was just more.
Well, technicalities we don't have to get into right now. But I enjoyed it, so I decided, in lieu of you two being absent, I wanted to try it solo because I'm a big fan of Aliens. So I went on, had a pretty good time on one of the levels that's actually set on a planet. It had really good Prometheus vibes. I was like, this is absolutely sick. And then I got right to the very end where you're getting absolutely swarmed by aliens, which should be good, right? That's the entire selling point of the whole game. You want to do that. It's not good when you're on your own. Like, that changes Aliens to Alien, you're just like one dude getting swarmed by these boys, and then you go down and then you die. And when I realised I had to start the whole level again, I just thought, this is not a game for me. I kind of am a bit disappointed that those games aren't really designed for people playing on their own, and people with no mates like me, evidently, who can't wrangle anyone to play Aliens Fireteam Elite with them. So that was my worst moment, because it was a good game and a good concept that I just was locked off to me by that design choice, and I thought, that's such a shame, that's so disappointing.
Hands down, my worst moment of the year is just realising what an absolute state the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition was in. And I know that the whole run-up to that was a whole mess of, the marketing was in one direction. You got a 59-second teaser trailer for it. And then there was all the stuff on the blog, on the Rockstar blog, of like, it's GTA 5 inspired controls. And people like me went, well, maybe it's going to be a little bit more like GTA 5. Maybe they'll have taken whatever that means. Like, maybe it's going to be something other than literal controller mapping. Like, no one wants to play a PS2 game that is just like, all you've done is change the button inputs, and you've changed a little bit of allowing you to lock on. It's not GTA 5 inspired anything in that case. It's just the most bare minimum thing you could have done. And that's alongside the fact that they got Grove Street Games got an AI upscaler to sort out all the textures, all the spelling mistakes, and it hits you immediately that it's a very threadbare, cheap feeling product. And I think that was the thing that just disheartened me. And my worst moment of the year, it is that, but it's also that it sent me into a full-on pit of spiraling, oh my god, because I just sat there going, well, Halo's come out and I should love it, it's been 20 years, but the XP system, the progression, the monetization is an absolute mess. GTA's come out, it's been 20 years, love it, one of the things I grew up on, and that's an absolute mess. And I was like, is this just what gaming is now? Is this just all we ever do now? We just look at stuff that's broken, and then we get in touch with the devs and we pester them on Twitter and go, can you fix the thing you've put out? Because I've paid money for it, please. And then eventually they get it right. Is that all gaming is, Benroy? Because I don't want to be here anymore.
At least the Matrix won't be a mess.
Well, hopefully not. There's a Matrix game on PS5 right now. Downloaded it last night. No idea what it is, but it's Matrix. So, I mean, it's 20 years old. You can't go wrong, can you? So,
I hope this comes out after the Matrix when you say, you can't go wrong. Like, this is going to be a pop-up saying, it did go wrong.
Resurrect me, Josh Brown. Resurrect me.
Hello, all of you lovely little demons. Perennial Egg Jules here, and my worst gaming moment of 2021 has to be summed up in 2 words: a date and a name. Battlefield 2042. Because my god, was I thoroughly disappointed by this game. I am a Battlefield fan through and through. I got so hyped for the release of this and then was so utterly crushed when it came out, and it was just like, oh, here's a load of bugs. Here's none of the guns. All of the stuff is completely broken, allowing hovercrafts to just ride up the wall and ruin the entire gameplay because you can just keep spawning them in again and again and again. And I was like, at what point here is this excusable? Answer is, it's not excusable in the slightest. It is from a huge developer. It is from a huge publisher. It is one of their tentpole franchises. And then they came out this scrappy looking. It was awful. Absolutely awful. Should not be excusable. Should never have happened. The amount of time that they had between the 2 games is enough to make sure that all the bugs were ironed out. And even if it doesn't come out fully formed, which does happen to all of AAA games, this is still inexcusable for the fact that they took so long to push out the patches, and also for the fact that so much content is clearly being withheld just so they can sell it to you again down the line. Sick. Thanks, mate. You're not invited to the Christmas party.
Have you ever heard of Left 4 Dead?
Yes.
Great series. It came out like over a decade ago. Left 4 Dead 2, also great. Went to a friend's house, played it before the world went to I swore there, so you can beat that out. And then Back 4 Blood. Let me tell you how wasted this game is, how bad the balancing is, how they just You remember Special Infected from Left 4 Dead?
No, but
the boomer. Is it the boomer?
The boomer, yeah.
The boomer. This one's like, how about we just give you 7 big lads with big arms and then they're just all going to grab you over and over again. You never have time to build tension up. Everything's in your mouth and in your eyes and you can't do anything about anything. And you're also getting swarmed by zombies. And AI, if you play, a good trick of Left 4 Dead, right, was that it was a four-player game, but play 3 and then have 1 AI because they're always pretty good getting a shot off at like a smoke around the distance. Now this one's just like licking their gun, hello, as they just melt away as they get beaten up. I'm like, you're so crap. And the AI, just having friendly AI be that crap. I'm trying not to say the word, but I did again so you can bleep it.
Sorry.
And then why are they spawning so many? Look, they're not even called Special Infected, but they're like Special Ridden. By the way, zombies. Just call them zombies. Like, when we have films, when we have films, don't call them infected. Call them zombies. Don't call them anything else. Like, Ridden is such a terrible name, right? Look, I really wanted you to win this time, Taro Rock, but you didn't. You gave me my worst point of the year, and I hated playing your game at one point so much that I almost gave up, but I didn't because I want to let you win.
Okay, so my worst gaming moment of 2021 is actually kind of embroiled with my favorite gaming moment of 2021. So I played through the Mass Effect trilogy all over again when Legendary Edition came out, and it was awesome. It was great going through it again. However, there was a particular moment. Now, I am a completionist. It's very important to me to do everything perfectly. Everyone survived the suicide mission. I got my control ending. Yes, I know it's divisive. Please don't come for me. But on Vermeer, Captain Kirrahe died. Now, you may or may not know Captain Kirrahe. He's the Salarian, depending on how embedded you got with that game. But you have to do a specific thing to keep him alive. I couldn't keep him alive, and my chat berated me about it for the duration of every single one of those games, and I deserved it. It was about 1 a.m. my time. It wasn't my fault. It was my fault. I'm sorry, Kirrahe. Gosh.
Shamefully, I had a few to go through in my head, mainly revolving around me making really stupid mistakes. But this is a mistake, but I will not take credit for it. So it's not a particularly shocking new game, but I was playing Project Zomboid and I'd got further than I had before, surviving, and I think it's really hard. I don't know if that's the general consensus. I went on the subreddit and stuff, and people were saying oh, it's quite a hard game to survive in. I like a survival, I like crafting things, I like gathering things, sending my little person around, whatever, and I was doing surprisingly well, especially because I hadn't been playing for very long, and I got the furthest I had ever got before. I think I was getting into double digits days, which is pretty good for me.
Sounds good.
And then, completely by no fault of my own, and I will not be accepting any fault, zombie was coming towards me. I was like, I'm fine, got a little baseball bat, bonk him, sorted.
Couldn't get the bonk.
I was clicking the mouse and nothing was happening, and there I just had to watch as all of my work just went down the drain, as if I was going to swear. See, I don't know why I get so riled up about this. It's a game made of 2 pixels at most, and yet watching my 2 pixels get ripped apart, I was like, ha! And it all went. I boarded up my house, I was feeling safe, secure, I had plenty of food, I was stocked up, I was living my best life, and it all went away just because I can't click a mouse.
You worked hard for those 2 pixels. So did anyone ever tell you
They betrayed me.
Sorry, Amy, I've got your lawyer on the phone. He says that's legally your fault. You have to redo that.
Tell him he's fired. He's fired.
Right then, Mr. Joe, what is the worst gaming moment of 2021?
Well, there weren't actually any games that came out in 2021, were there?
You're not wrong, to be honest. You had to scavenge a little bit.
Yeah, unless you're paying for first-party Nintendo IPs, which I can't afford. So I'm going to talk about a game from 2020, which I absolutely despised, and it was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. For a game that I hate, you know how many hours I'd clocked up by the time I finished that game?
200?
It was just about 200 hours.
Okay.
I played a game that I barely enjoyed a minute of for 200 hours somehow. I haven't enjoyed an Assassin's Creed game since Black Flag. That was sort of my last one, which I thought was a really fantastic experience. The rest of them I've bounced off completely and never really bothered with. And then one of my old housemates said, I've played Valhalla. It's not very good. And then she lent me it.
And you were like,
so I was like, I should probably play it then, shouldn't I? So I sat down and played it, and it hooks you in this way. It's the Ubisoft FOMO that has never got me before, and that horrible huge map with all these tiny little blips on it, all these little glowing things. There's a little gold thing over there, and it's gonna be like a little treasure. Oh, I better go over there, you know. There's an alright game buried in there. There's like a 7 out of 10 game hidden in there somewhere. But if you could do it in 20 hours, then it would be a 7 out of 10 game.
Did you like the story? Did you like what happened with the reader?
No, because it's Desmond Miles. Desmond Miles sucks. Desmond Miles was the worst thing about Assassin's Creed, and they brought him back.
He's the fan. Well, he's not the fan.
He's not the fan favourite. Ezio's the fan favourite. In that 200 hours, how many other excellent games could I have played?
Oh, I'm looking now, Joe, to be fair. No, don't worry yourself. You could have watched The Wire 4 times. You could have watched The Sopranos 3 times. You could have watched Breaking Bad about 6 times. You could have watched Twin Peaks back to back for the whole year and still had time to spare. Look, all those things you could have done, and you've chosen not to.